A week which saw multiple Republicans try to rewrite history on what happened January 6th. There is now a deal on legislation to form a bipartisan commission to investigate the attack. The bill, which may be considered in the House next week, would establish a 10-person bipartisan panel. They would be tasked with studying the facts and circumstances surrounding the attack, as well as the influencing factors that provoked it. They will be able to issue subpoenas. Joining me now is Illinois Congressman Mike Quigley, a Democratic member of the House Intelligence and Oversight Committees. Welcome. I don't even know how you react when you hear those kinds of things we just played from your Republican colleagues. I just said nope. I mean, there has been this agreement that's been made to form a commission. Are you concerned that no matter what that commission finds, it's not going to be accepted on a bipartisan basis?
I think we grew up with the notion that I'll believe it when I see it. I think what you saw this week is the notion of I'll see it when I believe it. And that's pretty scary. At the very least, they owe an apology to over 100 police officers who were injured. We've lost 5 officers since the beginning of the year. And there were injuries, obviously, with the District of Columbia Police as well. But, I'd like to think that the American people will have greater faith in a bipartisan commission of non-elected officials. I think that was true with 9/11. But it can't be worse than this week, right? I mean, I don't know what they would have thought after Pearl Harbor, that those were terrorists, after 9/11, that was a hoax. It's pretty scary when your nation's capital is so attacked and you can't come to any common ground as to whether it actually took place.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. Let's play part of an exchange that you had with former Defense Secretary Chris Miller. It was during that hearing concerning the DOD's role in responding to the Capitol attack. Let's all take a look together.
If this is a victory, if this is success, how would you have classified a failure?
I want to highlight it's not the correct role for the Department of Defense and our armed forces to be involved in civilian law enforcement matters, except as the absolutely last resort.
The last resort, you came in after the fact. I was in the room. I remember hearing colleagues saying, when does the effing cavalry get here? If you were the effing cavalry, you never showed up. You never got there on time. And we were exposed because of this.
Did he ever answer for you what would define a last resort?
No, and I think what's more distressing is, in law enforcement and in the military, I've always respected the fact that they take victories or defeats as a team effort, right? The first emergency call came in at 1:49. The cavalry, as it was described in the balcony that day, that's where I got that line. I heard my colleagues say, when does the effing cavalry get here? Mm-hmm. Obviously using the other term. Well, they got there at 5:20, and it was largely over, and a lot of the damage was already done. Again, I would just respect them a lot more. You can't begin to repair the problems and try to solve them if you don't acknowledge that you made mistakes in the first place.
Yeah. Okay, from one really challenging issue to another, as a member of the House Intelligence Committee, I know that you are briefed regularly on our nation's cybersecurity. What kind of weakness did this attack this week expose on our cyber defenses?
It was the most striking major attack on our energy infrastructure. But as you know, it's certainly not the first ransomware attack or cyber attack. Obviously, the one on Microsoft or SolarWinds. SolarWinds may have a longer-term impact on our economy and our nation's security, and there have been others as well. So I think it shows just how vulnerable we are. The president's executive order is welcome to begin to enhance the government's cybersecurity protections. But let's face it, 80% of our critical infrastructure, like this pipeline, is owned and operated by the private sector. I think we have to do a lot more, including minimum standards of security mandated by the federal government. This is our nation's economy and security at stake. We're going to have to work in tandem, but they're going to have to obviously up their game.
Here's something, though, that's upsetting for a lot of people, and they're asking the question. Colonial Pipeline paid $5 million. Should they have paid that ransom? What's that going to say to any nefarious character or group that says, yeah, I'd like to get $5 million. Let's put something out there and get paid for it.
You know, I'm on the committee, and I have to be honest. The only way I know that may or may not be true is what I read in the newspapers. So obviously, we still have a lot to learn. I think there's a different aspect to this that we need to add to the mix. Think about this. If this was a kinetic attack on a pipeline, it's hard to imagine we wouldn't have responded in kind, right? I think we have to have the offensive capabilities to take down attacks like this so they're not possible. That's why we have a military. Someone described this as an act of war. Well, frankly, it was more a robbery by a criminal element. But those potential acts of war are out there, and I think they've already begun, as solar winds demonstrate. So we need to up our defensive posture. But I think for defensive reasons, we need to up our offensive capabilities as well.
Look, there's another alleged attack I want to talk with you about, and this one is what Politico is reporting, that U.S. officials suspect a notorious Russian spy agency may be behind those directed energy attacks, and they're causing mysterious health issues among U.S. government personnel. It's happening around the world. You've got victims who report symptoms that include headaches, they've got loss of balance and hearing, there's ringing, there's pressure in their ears, even sometimes long-term brain damage. What do you know, Congressman, about this? Is this a crime with no fingerprints? And if so, how do we pinpoint whether or not Russia's indeed behind it?
It is an absolutely great question, and one to be of paramount value to answer. This is real. It is a real threat to our government, to our diplomatic and intelligence community. It is an attack on our ability to defend ourselves and to operate throughout the world. We are working, I would tell you, very diligently to attribute this, to prevent this, and to mostly, I think, right now, as important as all that, at least, is to take those who are suffering the neurological disorders that you're talking about. This is a bold attack, and we must address it equally boldly.
Yeah, Illinois Congressman Mike Quigley, it's always good to talk with you, my friend, so come see me again soon. Thank you so much.